Big Ron Shaw here, the Earl of Upsets, telling you to watch my friends, Monte and the Pharaoh, on Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast show, and soon to be the world's #1 wrestling podcast show. That is going to be a big upset.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite 4-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing good. What's going on? It's hot as hell down here.
It's not too bad up here, man. A little bit of rain. A little bit. You doing anything for 4th of July? I want to wish everybody out there a happy 4th of July. Are you doing anything for 4th of July? You and the old lady going somewhere?
Well, actually, right now, Karen's on the boat with Zach, and they're going to watch the fireworks. He's doing one of his tours as the captain of the Sea Screamers, so she's out there now. I was there last year.
The captain of the SS Minnow.
Oh, God, don't say that. Skippy!
Jason Morning, how are you, man? What's going on?
Okay.
RJ Hudson, how are you? Maria David, how are you?
Yeah.
Who else we got? Everybody's piling in slowly today. Good stuff going on and anything. What I want to talk to you about, Jimmy, I forgot what I wanted to actually talk to you about before we started. I know what I wanted to talk to you about. I want to welcome our new sponsor, 500 Level, www, shouldn't be using that, 500level.com, where they sell all sports clothing and all this wonderful stuff. And support the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Please use the code MP20, that's MP20, and get a luxurious 20% discount with 500 Level sports gear. And right now they're offering a holiday special with 10%. So that's a whole 30% off the garments. Jimmy, you just being part of their sponsorship, ordered yourself a nice little T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging the great tribal chief. Yo, by the way,
I'm really surprised you went that route, dude. I got to be honest with you.
Oh, you know, it's funny. As I was looking through, and by the way, they have a lot of great stuff for you folks out there. When you get to that site, there's a lot of good. Dude, I was tortured. You said to me, pick a shirt, and I'm like,
and by the way, it's just not wrestling, dude. It's all sports. Like, I was surprised you went wrestling. I was like, really, dude?
Well, you know, I mean, after all, they've been, kind enough to be our sponsor, and we're gonna have a partnership with them. Of course, I'm gonna do wrestling. It's a wrestling show. Sometimes it's a wrestling show, right, Mike?
Sometimes, and let's not reminder, MP20 for a luxurious 20% off of 500 Level. And like I said, for the holiday, they're offering another 10%.
What do you think I was going to pick? Like Aaron Judge or something? I don't really.
Dude, I know. I was thinking to myself, is he going to go Yankees or Jets? And if he goes wrestling, he's not going Rome. Like, I was shocked. I thought you would go Hulk Hogan, Savage, Ultimate Warrior even.
No, because right now, the very thing that you and I talk about from week to week and we pine for is the return of the great tribal chief. Look, we really did enjoy that. Yeah, we really did love that reign.
By the way, I got to show you something here. Do you see this? I got this T-shirt.
Look at that. There you go.
It's really cheesily made, but I fucking love
what?
it.
It's the message that counts.
By the way, I got to ask you about that before we carry on. I have a feeling the Von Erich family are not fans of ours. I don't know, man. So just so you know, we had Holly Von Erich, and she loved the interview, right?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, could we get Kevin's daughter on? And then she wanted to do it. The girl goes dark on us, flat out dark.
Okay.
And then we have, quite a few Von Erich. I don't want to say Von Erich haters, right? Because, last week, I don't think he was a Von Erich hater. Do you?
Who, Eric Embry?
Yeah.
I don't think he was necessarily fond of them, but isn't he entitled to say what he remembers and how he recalls it? I don't get why people would be mad at us, because you're allowed to speak your mind, whoever you are and whatever your point of view is. If you're a name in this business and you've done something, of course we would like to talk to you, and it doesn't matter who you are and what your opinion is. Don't take that out on the one asking the question, please, because that's ridiculous. You got a problem with the person who had the answer. That's different.
It's a really good point, Jimmy. Well, the reason I bring it up now is I said, you know what? Me and Jimmy love doing interesting interviews. I thought would be fun for the Monte and the Pharaoh families. I reached out. Did you know the Von Erichs had a bodyguard?
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, they had a bodyguard for many, many years, and I reached out to the bodyguard. We like these,
Sure,
not abnormal, but like off the wall.
yeah, but those are
Kind of
the ones.
situation.
A lot of those we've learned over the years are fascinating with their stories because they saw stuff too. They were part of it. However, be it small, they were part of it.
Well, the guy responds back. He's like, I love your show. I'd love to do it. Dark. Went dark.
Oh, well, then that must mean that there's someone in them there hills that doesn't,
Daughter coming off of Holly's interview, that Kevin Von Erich's daughter would go dark on us.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
I am, dude, because I fucking love the Von Erichs, dude.
Well, how do you think I felt with the whole Greg Valentine fiasco?
That was what?
Look at you! Look at you!
What?
I love the Von Erichs, and they don't like me now. So what? Greg didn't like us. I didn't feel too good about that. It comes with the territory.
Greg was a big fan of the show until you allowed Missy Beefcake to rip him apart.
I love your delusional memory. You are hilarious. The folks at home know you're full of shit too. You know that, right?
No, they don't, because guess what? I is you, you is me. I kill someone, you're going to jail. You kill someone, I'm going to jail. I want to remind you, tonight's show main thing is Bubba, Missy, and Brutus Beefcake, the Sponge Saga. We'll be discussing what the hell is going on with Hulk Hogan. Is he alive? Is he dead? What's the deal with Bubba the Love Sponge? There's so much going on. And Missy actually coming to Hulk's defense, Jimmy.
So what's the story? Because you're on top of all of this stuff. Did Bubba say that Hogan was dying? I mean, what's going on here?
This is why I'm the best co-host you'll ever have, because when we get to that, I've made a historical video for you so you can catch up on anything you might have missed while you've been sleeping in your coffin.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, after all, missing out on Bubba the Love Sponge. I mean, get me another coffin.
Happy Death Day to you. Happy Death Day to you. Happy Death Day, Jim Morrison. Happy Death Day to you. Listen, I'm swinging you over to the left because that is your idol, and I think you should take the time with me out of the frame to discuss your idol, Jim Morrison.
He's not an idol, but he's somebody that I absolutely admire. And happy Death Day. We live, we die, and death not ends it. Did you have a good life when you died? Enough to base a movie on? Well, he did. He is still felt all these years later. We're over half a century now since he's been gone. Oliver Stone saw it fit to do a movie on him. Hollywood did him. Made a fortune. The late Val Kilmer. Every album that ever had his voice on it went platinum. He has a perfect record. He was 7 for 7, even in death. They took his poetry and they put it to music in the studio, and that went platinum. Because everything he did when it came to music was so different from everybody else. He thought differently than everybody else. We live, we die, and death not ends it. The man's not dead. Sure, physically, of course. But the man's more alive and will be more alive hundreds of years from now than pretty much most of us.
How old was he when he died? 43?
He was 27.
Oh, shit. Wow.
He's
Wow.
part of the 27 Club. Him, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix all
Oh,
died
that's
in the
right.
same year.
The government murders, right?
Oh, stop it. They all had their own issues with drugs.
Dude, I put Jim Morrison as, like, when we talk about head to head with wrestlers,
Yeah.
I give him top level it factor.
Yes. You'd be
Overall
correct.
talent as a singer,
Incredible.
he's okay.
Well,
The music, give me a second. The Doors music is excellent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As a singer, stage presence, excellent. It factor. So one of the iconic rockers of all time. But I certainly understand when people say they may not like Jim Morrison. I get that,
definitely. Right? He's not for everybody. Oddly enough, a lot of the famous musicians around him at the time were very, very jealous of him, and a lot of them hated him. People like David Crosby, who, in my mind, is a delusional political hack, a complete ass clown. But yet he hated Jim. You see, like when they were trying to do that imaginary hippie world that they wanted to build and live in, and then they became yuppies and all sold out on it anyway within the next 10 years, if you're following me, Mike.
Yep.
When they would be having them hippie get-togethers, a guy like Jim would come into the room and the whole thing would change. Because Jim was not about that peace and love bullshit. Jim actually saw people for exactly who they are in the world for what it is. And that's
Jimmy,
why he's not for everybody.
I always tread lightly when I talk about Morrison because I know how much you respect him. But,
right.
We talked about Eddie Vedder, right? That, Eddie wasn't like the bunch of the grunge guys. He was actually brought up in a very rich family. Actor. He had his Actors Guild card or whatever the hell he had going on, right?
That's correct. Okay.
And Morrison also grew up in a very privileged family, and he lied about his upbringing, right, to kind of build the character.
No, he didn't lie about his upbringing. What he did was, and he didn't, you can say it was privileged, but to a young kid growing up, it's all how the young kid accepts what's going on. In his case, he was basically traveling constantly because his father was very important in the military. So Jim really didn't get to settle down anywhere. He didn't get to have a Mike Monte as a friend for a bunch of years while he got through junior high and high school and stuff like that. These aren't excuses. This is what happened.
Yeah, sure.
His father being very, very military wanted, obviously, it was almost like, you're going to be a soldier. I'm not sure how aware you are of all of this. But Jim's father almost started a war with Israel back in the 60s, when he almost fired upon an Israeli ship, and it was a real close call. Jim was against war, obviously, but he wasn't against conflict. So he really is it's contradictory with Jim, but that's part of his complexity. He wanted no part of the military life. There's a picture of him on a submarine with his father where Jim's got the crew cut, and you can see his father is wanting him to be this. It's almost like Marinovich's dad, Todd Marinovich, and you know damn well how that went. That didn't go very well. Jim, the one thing that Jim did create was after he left home and wanted to become a musician, once he made it big, he told everybody his family was dead because he never went back. And he also received a nasty letter from his father telling him, you're not a very good singer, try something else. And this is after the Doors have already hit #1 with Light My Fire. I don't think his father was in any position at that point to tell his son what to do with a platinum debut record and a perfect album, by the way.
RJ Hudson says Eddie Vedder sucks. The music was just, please spare me. Phil, the president, weighing in. Monte the Pharaoh, I am as much as a Doors guy as I'm a wrestling guy. Saw Robbie Krieger live with Eric Burden of the Animals. Great show.
Oh, wow.
But I'm a huge Animals guy, by the way.
He's a great vocalist. Eric Burden's incredible. Incredible power, right? Incredible range. Similar to Morrison, but a higher range as far as his top end. He's a great singer. Jim was basically the Bing Crosby of the 60s, and I also happen to love that. I love Crosby. I love Sinatra. Jim was sticking to the crooning. When you really think about it, think about the 60s singers. Who else is singing like that? He had a little bit of the old school in him from the 40s. It was very interesting with his voice.
Jimmy, again, I try to be sparingly when I talk about him because of the respect, but I felt he knew he was limited, so he knew what style he had to use to be successful, right?
That's the brilliance of it. He knew what he could do.
I'm not definitely a brilliant guy, right? But he played his strength. Go ahead.
Yeah, and again, I say so what? Because listen, I know you may think differently, and that's fine. But if you put Jim Morrison in the same room with Don Dokken, and sure, Don Dokken could sing higher, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
I'm going with the guy. I'm going with the guy in the leather pants over there.
If you
You know?
if you're asking me to go between Don Dokken and Jim Morrison, I'm going with Jim Morrison.
I'm just
You know what I'm
pointing
saying?
out range, you know, and knowing. And by the way, Eddie Vedder's like that too. I happen to like Eddie Vedder. My apologies, you know, to those who don't like him. I
Well,
don't like him as. I wish he'd shut up with his political shit.
I
but
honestly
like
feel
Eddie Vedder.
Veda's also limited with
He's
his
like a
vocal skills.
Morrison.
Yes.
That's why when the Doors did that MTV Unplugged, they asked Eddie Vedder to sing it because Eddie is a lot like Jim in the baritone thing.
Well, to be fair, I've ripped apart Kiss, who I love. I want to keep saying that.
Right.
I am
just listened to their first record today.
I am a
Awesome.
huge Kiss fan. But you know what? A guy like Paul Stanley deserves his flowers. The dude can sing.
Oh
he
my
can
God!
sing.
Listen, when you, I mean, you want to talk singing? You know, obviously Jim is not in the same as if you're talking singing. Paul Stanley is in rarefied air along with a Robert Plant, who's greater than Paul, but Paul's great. So let's not get that crazy. You know, Roger Daltrey. You know, again, Paul's not greater than Roger Daltrey, but let's not. You know, I'm just saying Paul has that much vocal capability.
What do we say? He's in the penthouse,
He's
right?
Incredible lead vocalist. Incredible.
We lost a great actor, in my opinion, Michael Madsen, at the age of 67. Jimmy died of a heart attack today. Mike Madsen was in Reservoir Dogs. Kill Bill. Dude, the guy's been in so many movies. I'm sorry, I can't name all the movies off the top of my head, right?
No, that's fine.
But this is what hit me, bro. And again, I don't want to talk about ageism. 67. That's literally a couple of skips of a rock for us, man, and we're there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. So
I gotta be honest with you. I'll share with you today. I went to dinner with my wife when I got home from work, right? Because I had an aggravating day. I don't know. I was so fucking pissed off today.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, not to do with the drama with the channel, right? Just other reasons, right? But my wife's like, I'm really concerned about your health right now.
She should be.
She's very concerned.
Oh, well, she should be, because if you don't take a little off the fastball, you're going to wind up like me. And the next thing to go, never mind your ticker.
Bro, why can't we take anything off the fastball? I love that you said that. We can't.
We can't. I know that I can. I mean, I do my best. I do think I'm getting better at it, to be fair, over the years. I think I am getting better at it, but I'm still nowhere near where I like to be. You got to take it off the fastball. Otherwise, you know what? You already had ticker problems with the heart. You're going to wind up like me with the stomach, where something's going to snap in half because you can't digest food anymore because the stress is destroying your insides. So, you know, I don't know.
But by the way, I keep veering off subject. Maria, I got to tell you. So Maria was
what she got?
Can you hear me?
I can't read what Maria posted.
She says the Doors were great. Love them.
Yeah,
but Maria was part of that new show that we have on the channel. What the orgasm specialist or whatever the fuck the name of it is. I'm sorry. She's quite the sexual being, dude.
Who, Maria?
Maria.
What do you want me to do with information? What am I? Jeez, Maria. Oh God! Why does Maria? Is she like writing in on that show? Is that?
Oh yeah, and she is all in on questions, dude. And it's like, look, Maria, respectfully, I think I missed a boat trying to hang out with you, man, because I think that could be one great trip. That would be one great trip, I think.
I'm picturing getting tossed off that beautiful yellow bridge by the Pirate Stadium right now. Anyway.
What? First of all, you broke up. What did you say?
I said I'm picturing you getting tossed off that beautiful bridge by Pittsburgh Pirates Stadium right now, like Maria's got a rock tied to your ankle. You perv!
News came out. P. Diddy found not guilty on 2 major charges of sex trafficking and assault. So all I can think to myself is all these people that felt all empowered to rat out P. Diddy will be running for the shelter because you don't have much time on this planet because he will get you.
Daddy's back. Daddy's back. Oh, boy.
My wife says to me, she's like, why? People will be watching him. I'm like, he'll be so far removed. Like, if he wants to kill the Pharaoh, you won't even know. He'll be so far removed from it. It's like you ratted me out in that documentary. Have a good day. You're gonna. It's gonna be like Goodfellas. Remember when they took all the money from Lufthansa, and then
Yeah.
slowly they were finding them in all different places.
Yeah.
That's what it would be like, dude.
Yep. Like falling out of the back of a dump truck. Is that what you're saying?
It's whatever, man.
Wow.
Frozen in an ice thing.
Hey,
Whatever you want to say.
Have I mentioned lately? I think P Diddy's awesome. He's the greatest.
Me too. I
There you
love
go.
P.
You're
I love P.
catching on.
Diddy.
You're
In
catching
fact,
on.
you can check all our shows where we defend P. Diddy. So, hey,
Yeah,
P. Diddy,
yeah,
we're all good with you,
Yeah,
bro.
it's Diddy's world. We're just living in it.
Talk to me about Eric Embry, dude. Not in a million years. Listen, the guy was fantastic. Not in a million years do I think people who have been writing our web pages, writing our social media, they effing loved that interview. So I got to ask you, Pharaoh, yet again, did you expect Eric Embry to be such a high performer for the Monte The Pharaoh show?
Honestly, no. I thought it would be great. I was very excited to have him on because he's a very early memory for me. Did I think that he would deliver that sort of it? No. And that's the best part. You know what, though? I never go into anything expecting anything, no matter who the person
Never?
is. No, because you can't do that. You can't. You know what? The first time, yes. When we had Marty, the very first time, and we all know the story of what happened when Marty. After that, nope. I had instant recognition of what was going on in this circus. I was like, nope. So, you might get nervous, like, oh, it's New Jack or whatever, but I don't really fret over, how the interview is going to go, if that makes any sense. But I mean, only in the beginning. Once Marty popped out of that car that day, I was like, nah. I'm done overanalyzing this shit.
You know what? Whatever. We just need a bunch of them. We got some more guests coming up. We'll be announcing.
Yeah.
Man in
He
Australia
was
dies
great,
a very
though.
rare bat bite.
A bat bite.
Yeah, bat bite.
Where do you get this
Man
shit?
dies after contracting the first NSW case of Australian bat Lassa virus.
What?
A Lassa virus? Lyssa virus. Lisa virus? Lyssa virus? What do you pronounce it?
Godzilla versus Lhasa virus. Okay. All right.
Think about
Interesting.
this, dude. Like, you're just hanging out and a bat bites you and now you're dead. That's how easy this all is right now.
That's very weird.
That's your response?
I
That's
mean, well, when you
very
give me
weird.
like when you give me stories, man dies after being bitten by bat. Okay, what? Where do you find this stuff?
All right, I'll give you something different. Let's see how you react to this. Ready?
Yeah.
From the our new category, it's part of the show. We'll be doing this segment every week. I'll be making a banner for it, so I hope you join it. Girl, we wanted to fuck, but what the fuck happened?
What?
Are you ready?
Oh no. I
want you to repeat after me because this is the new segment. Girl, I wanted to fuck, but what the fuck happened?
Girl.
Kathy Griffin.
Huh?
This is what she looks like.
What the fuck? First of all, you wanted to fuck Kathy Griffin?
Dude, she's not bad, dude. Come on. You want to fuck her?
This is the first time I've ever even thought about, that sort of thing with her. No, I'll pass. I'm good. Nope. And
even when she was younger? Look at that, dude.
Oh, that's
what
mint.
That's
mint. Look at that. Now we're talking. Yeah, right.
Dude, that doesn't even look like her anymore.
Like, what happened, though? Like, meth and, like, sticking your finger in a socket? What happened?
But look at her face, bro.
That's what I'm asking. How does that happen? Isn't she like a star and stuff? Can't she like, buy a new face like they all do?
Thank you. Best line of the night. Can't you buy a new face? Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Kenny Rogers looked, basically like he was from the Orient at the end. I'm sorry, but that's what he did. He didn't even look recognizable, but he didn't look like that. That's brutal. Get under the knife.
Can I just show it one more time? Maybe she's been under the knife too much, bro.
Shut up and scalpel.
Wow. You're just hating right now. Well, news is broken out. I know we're going to be talking about Hulk Hogan very shortly, where you'll be getting a history lesson. But it seems like Ric Flair, he goes to bars in Tampa and he keeps shitting himself. Now, I understand the guy's old, but this is what's happening. Does Ric Flair keep coming into your restaurant and shitting himself?
Oh.
Man has shit himself like I gotta put my glasses on. Jesus Christ,
Man,
hold
that
on,
is
guys.
this
Yeah,
is
Jimmy,
this
be
is
helpful if you help me read some of this shit because I can't read it.
Oh
Or some of the
yeah.
fans, we
He
might have
says
to
to
get
Ray
them on as
Charles.
readers. I mean,
Yeah,
what
okay.
the fuck over?
Stevie Wonder over here. You're in trouble, my friend.
2 blind men that are about to die in 8 years. Man has shit himself like 6 times this year, drunk as fuck at bars and other restaurants. He gets thrown out of Water Street places all the time. Anybody in the service industry having to deal with this shit too? Jimmy, thoughts on that?
He's been going to local bars, getting in the shitter. You hear a giant splat because the door's closed, and then what happens? Poo! Who?
But okay,
Is that what's going on?
hold on. So if anyone doesn't know, right? So Jimmy and I were talking one day, and Jimmy has a friend, and and Jimmy, you really should take this story. The guy that ran into Ric Flair in the bathroom.
Oh God, I haven't talked to him in a long time. Yeah. He met Ric Flair in the bathroom, and he asked, he tried to talk to him a little bit, and he was like, "Out of my way, buddy! I don't do business in the bathroom." Woo! Yeah,
There you go.
there it was. Well, apparently he's doing business in a lot of different bathrooms, Mike.
I gotta tell you, bro, it's like
Yo,
I understand if we're all fortunate to live to that type of age, it's understandable. You have urinary problems, right? Holding your urine, you have poo-poo problems, right? This will happen to everybody. You live long enough, you'll all be part of it. But Rick, do me a fucking favor, bro. Either stop drinking or at least wear fucking diapers. I mean, you're just shitting yourself, bro.
Wow. On a serious note, I thought he just had surgery of some kind.
He's supposed to be going in for surgery, but
I thought I saw like scar pictures and stuff already. Ew.
dude, I don't know what's real with these wrestlers, dude. I got to be honest with you. I have no idea. You know what? I mean, we're going to go through this whole Bubba the Love Sponge bullshit in a minute. But first, we got to get to our segment.
Shut up and wrestle.
Ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
Shut up and wrestle.
All right, dude. So, unfortunately, we got a 2-time loser. Maybe he's a winner this time. Jeff Hardy. We're going to play his music. We'll ask everybody to weigh in.
I doubted.
Well, again, Jeff likes his music. And I think before Jimmy said to me before the show, I think Jeff feels like he missed his calling, that he wanted to be a rock star.
Well, he missed his real true desire was to be a musician. I bet
I said to Jimmy, thank God he did, because fucking no one would be listening to that dude. But that's okay. All right. Are you ready?
Sure.
Other than king, it's everything, our land and sea. I'll run my course throughout your doubts. I'll be the fault, my fault, you shout. From rotten bottom, on the bottom, you were all the way down. Change your ways and change your...
A lyrist he is not. That's to start off. I mean, just let's put a whole bunch of fucking words that rhyme together. You know, sitting on a rock, eating a cock. I mean, I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
Wow. It's very blasé. It's just there, and I don't want it to be there. He's got to shut up and wrestle.
By the way, we haven't gotten to the subject yet, but I think it's Knievel Kramer guy. Dude, I'm not pronouncing your name properly. I just can't read my screen. Brian Blair, because certain colors, my sunglasses can't read it, right? Brian Blair is one of the Hulk's best friends and said today that Hulk is fine. Bubba the Love Sponge is an attention whore, nothing more. Now, we've had Brian Blair on, and Brian Blair is a Hulk Hogan guy, as we are.
Yes.
But let's hear the story, and I'm going to play the videos. Jimmy, we'll do one video at a time. Once the video's over, I'll ask you to give your opinion.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying Bubba the Love Sponge is lying, is not lying. Is it true, not true? But let's hear what everybody's got to say. Now, again, everybody, I cannot play videos because some assholes will report us, and then they'll shut down the channel. Try to teach other people on this channel that, but they don't listen.
All right.
So here is the lesson. Alter the video and just put a picture over it like I did this before we get to Hulk. Copyright. By the way, shut up and wrestle.
Yeah, he's got to shut up and wrestle.
Shut up and wrestle.
Good. All right, Jimmy. So I'm going to play. They're not necessary any chronological order, but I'll play it. Let's weigh in. Let's discuss it. There's many different things. Ready?
Yeah.
Happens medically, it is what they call sometimes the kiss of death. It's my understanding when this happens medically, it is what they call sometimes the kiss of death. And from a reliable source, I've been told that Hulk Hogan is on a ventilator. And I think that, listen, in the 2 people I've lost in the last 3 years, that was the kiss of death. When you put a person on a ventilator. Now, it could very well be false. He could very well have maybe been on a ventilator and he's not on one now, or he could still be on that ventilator, or he never was on a ventilator. But, the information that I got yesterday was truthful and factual, so I don't know why this wouldn't be. I hope, even though Hogan hates me, and even though we have this history, I hope and pray for his longevity that this is the information that I got that's not true, that's been embellished, or is old. Now, it's got his entire inner circle freaked out. That's what leads me to believe that he still may be on one, or maybe he, for lack of a better term, hulked up, and through medicine and through medical procedures and through expert doctors' care, you can bet that he's got the best. I know what hospital he's at. I'm not going to disclose that, but through really good doctors and very smart people, maybe they've been able to fine tune his heart situation and get it working so that he doesn't have to be on one. But that's what happens medically.
Sorry about that. That got cut off. So the rumor is that he went in for a neck thing. He had an issue with his neck, Jimmy. He went in for it. They found a valve problem. They replaced the valve, and we'll go on to other videos and listen to it. And something went wrong, and he was on a ventilator. On that particular clip, it annoys me for these examples. He could be on one, but I'm not saying he really is on one. He could be hulking out, and he could be over here, and he could be alive. Everybody wants to be the first person to announce Hulk Hogan is dead. Every podcaster is running around looking to see if Hulk Hogan is dead. I want to be the one to break it. Jimmy.
Okay. All that stuff that you just said is what I call dancing in the shadows, which is exactly what he's doing there. It could be, it couldn't be. It could be, it couldn't be. Well, here are 2 things that I noticed that are, to me, the most important. First, he said it's got his inner circle freaked out. Let me ask you a question, Mike. With all the history with this guy and all the trouble and heartache he's caused Hogan, you mean to tell me that Hogan's inner circle, which you and I obviously don't have a clue who his true inner circle is, but I bet you Brian Blair does. All right, you mean to tell me that there's somebody in Hogan's inner circle that is reporting back to Bubba the Love Sponge? First of all, I laugh at that. All right. I love also, as I jot this down, because when I write it out, it makes me feel better about the stupidity of it all. Reliable sources. Okay. Dancing in the shadows again. Well, he could be dying, but he could not be dying. My reliable sources, the inner circle, blah, 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 blah. And here's the third key as I write this down to make myself feel better instead of reaching for a case of Tums. Praying for Hogan's longevity. You better pray that Hulk Hogan lives to be 117. Because as long as he's alive, you can continue to talk about the attachment and the sad history of what you did to Terry Bollea for the rest of the time. So I'm sure you are praying for his longevity. Mike?
Well done, sir. Next video. Are you ready?
Sure.
syndicated radio host, has made those two major allegations. Don't you think that you come out immediately and debunk that? Do you notice that the Hogan camp, other than lying when I first came out that he was having a heart issue, other than them coming out immediately following what I said and said, no, it's not a heart issue, it's a back and neck deal. And then I think it started with Us Magazine, came and really did find out that it was a heart issue. And then I played that one guy, that former Scientologist, that had talked to the woman's husband who had put the valve into Hogan's heart. So I'm not trying to get people to like me from hating me, but do you notice that nothing, not 1 ounce has came out of the Hogan camp?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You mentioned valve. He had a valve replacement?
Yeah, he had a valve replacement.
That's a big operation. Even if it's done, because they can sometimes do it through your groin. If they have to like open his chest to replace the valve because maybe they try.
Oop, I better get that off because that shouldn't have went on. Shit. All right. Sorry, I had to cut that off. I thought I had cut that off.
I thought you were showing people how to do. Never mind. Go on.
Fuck. Hope I got that off in time. All right. So let me explain something here. So what's happening here is they're claiming that they had to do a valve replacement, right? So that's quite possible. Hogan's in his 70s, right? The human valves. So the first thing that was being passed around is that the heart rejected the valve. This came out of Bubba's mouth, which I will tell you right now, Jimmy, is maybe one of the stupidest comments of all time. So if anyone knows anything about heart valve replacements, there's two types, right? There's a mechanical and then there's a biological. The mechanical obviously is metal. It's a metal valve, okay? It's meant for long-term valve replacement, right? The problems with that, you need to be on Coumadin the rest of your life. It is mechanical, but it has a propensity to break down, yada, yada, yada. Okay?
Yeah.
When you're older, they replace you with a biological one. That would be a cow's valve or a pig's valve. Okay?
Correct.
Neither one of these will ever be rejected by a human body. You don't have to take pills. Like, what is that called? Acceptance pills. Can help me with the word.
I understand what you're getting at.
Okay. So that in itself is false. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you let me know when you want me to go here because I have some notes that I wrote down for this one too.
Go.
Okay, first of all, I find it interesting, that, he's not responding to these allegations. I know this sounds very not today for some people, but some people choose silence when shit gets thrown out there sometimes. Hogan is definitely much more of a private person, obviously, than people know. To me, if he feeds into Bubba the Love Sponge, he creates more hype for Bubba the Love Sponge, which is what Bubba the Love Sponge wants, and it's why he's talking about him in the first place. Which gets to my second point, obsession. Why are you so interested? He hates you. You know he hates you, and there's a terrible history there. Why are you so interested in what's going on with Hulk Hogan's organs anyway? Because you're obsessed. Because you know that it's good
Jimmy,
for you.
To be fair,
you want to remain relevant.
Hulk Hogan is in the top 10 most recognizable people in the world.
Look, he's flat out mooching off Hogan. This doesn't make him an idiot, by the way, Mike, as I say this. Let's just say it for what it is. Okay? He's obsessed with Hogan, and it benefits him financially. Period. So, no, he's not a good guy, and he's not going to change my mind that he's somehow a good guy. He's still talking shit. And like you just said, medically, if you're telling me medically the things that are coming out of him is nonsense, then why give him another second?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. All right, I'll say this statement here. If you're going to be, and I've said this to podcasters too, if you're going to be a journalist, you need to be a responsible journalist, okay? And responsible journalist is this. So, again, Jimmy, I know how much you hate it, okay? I do. But I'm doing this for a point. So, Walt in the chat wrote, who the fuck is Lee Cole? Okay? And then RJ Hudson says, Walt is a guy who was around during the Ring Boy. Doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is this. When we first met Lee Cole, he was talking about his brother who supposedly offed himself because Terry Garvin tried to lick his feet, right? I'm not going to go into the whole thing. My point was there was other people out there debunking Lee Cole's claims, and Lee Cole would not let them have their say. And I said to Lee when we used to talk to him, if you're going to attempt to be a journalist, and guys, don't think that we're running out, me and Jimmy are running out there saying we're journalists, because we're not, okay? We're just two guys on
No.
Are you a journalist?
No, hell no. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I thought you said you were.
No, I'm not a journalist. I compose music, but I'm not a journalist. Go on.
Okay, well, it's like two different things, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a journalist.
Okay. So the point here is that if you're going to do this type of stuff, you have at least a responsibility to try to report the right news. So don't tell me Bubba the Love Sponge isn't smart enough to find out that, like a valve surgery, your body doesn't reject the valve.
Right.
Okay, so if you want to glamorize the death or the sickness of Hulk Hogan, at least give some legitimate answers. Jimmy, I'm going to play a video a friend of ours, Missy Beefcake, went on, all right, social media.
Mm-hmm.
She and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, that is Brutus the Barber Beefcake's second wife. They've been married for quite a while. We all know the problems that Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake have had. They've been on Missy, we consider a very close friend of the show. She has been nothing but nice and polite and supportive to us in every which way. When she comes on, she's spoken honestly, and if we disagreed with her, she accepts it, and we accept her. But anyway, she is not a Hulk Hogan fan, but let's hear what she's got to say.
That he's getting. I think that Bubba the Today Sponge needs to take it down a notch, okay? Because look at all the attention that he's getting with these fake medical reports and known like his confidence people. I think people are kayfabing Bubba. I think they're lying to make him look like a dick when Hulk Hogan pops up at WrestleMania 10,000, still immortal, and running wild. That's my opinion. So I know that Bubba gave the Hulkster his wife. He lied under oath, gave him the office, etc., when they were in court for the sex trafficking thing. But honestly, my advice to Bubba the Today Sponge and all the other news medias that are covering Bubba, come on now. You think Bubba's going to know? Mm-mm.
Thought there, Jimmy.
You know what? That's very. I'm going to sound like a sap. That's very moving to me, because it's really sad that Brutus and Hogan and Missy have not been able to figure it out. And it's funny that when a piece of shit like as she said, Bubba the Today Sponge tries to mooch once again off everything we love about Hulk Hogan. You see, I do kind of take it personal. I guess I kind of do, Mike. You know, because Hogan is that much, beloved by us too, and I can see that when she was talking about him, it's like, I wish they'd find a way to be friends again, all of them. Because when a true piece of shit shows up, she had his back, and I'm very moved by that. That's awesome.
Pretty well done. So, Jimmy, in fairness, now I'm going to play Bubba the Love Sponge's response to Missy Beefcake.
Oh, come
this
on.
video is a little bit longer. Okay.
Yeah, great.
All right, but you'll have a lot. But you. So I know you weren't caught up on this whole thing, but I think we've done a pretty good thing.
Oh, you've done outstanding.
Kind of setting this up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to again play this. It's about 4 minutes. Everybody, again, understand, and I do apologize. I can't play videos on here. We get a strike.
Right.
And, Bubba is not a friend of ours either. And again, we're not fans of his, but as trying to be responsible, we're trying to listen to both sides of stories. So not to be pro Bubba, but I will say this to you, Jimmy. I know the Hogan camp came out once saying it wasn't what they said, but Hogan's disappearance from the public is concerning. Now, could he listen? I had a valve repair, and I've had a valve replacement.
Mm-hmm.
I had it 3 years ago, so I was mid-50s, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It took me a bit to get my shit together.
It did.
Now you're talking Hogan's, right, Jimmy? Remember like when I first got back to the studio, dude? You thought I was going to fucking drop dead. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I was there. I lived through it. I remember. You made it, but it was definitely more difficult.
And that's my point, right? It's much harder.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm pulling something. I'm sorry again.
And by the way,
Frozzy
Mike,
Red. Can you guys get Honky Tonk Man as a guest? He
well,
would
I
be
don't know.
brilliant on your show.
Probably, I agree with
I
that,
got to
but I
tell
don't
you,
know.
I think that is something that is going to happen, Jimmy.
That'd be nice.
I always liked the Hulkster. Always came across as a cool guy. Jimmy, before we go on to the other video,
Yeah.
Monte the Pharaoh is Bubba Spongeworthy. Now that is funny, Phil. And for the younger people there, you're just not getting it. So well done, Phil. I enjoyed that. You met Hulk Hogan personally.
Yeah.
Tell people your experience with the Hulkster.
Well, the really cool thing is that how nice he was to everybody. And I mean everybody that was there the day that I got to meet him. He was very, very kind to. I remember when I finally got to walk up to him, and look, there are very few people that I actually go, wow. And he's one of them, And I whispered in his ear, thank you for everything you've given me. I've been watching you since I was 12, and as far as I'm concerned, you're the Beatles of professional wrestling. And he pulled back, and his eyes widened. Like, I'm sure he's been told many nice things in his time, but I don't know if he's been told it exactly that way. After all, who started the tag phrase Mania? Beatlemania, WrestleMania, Hulkamania. I've always felt that he was the Beatles of professional wrestling as far as where we are today. He was very, very kind. His handshake was very, very real. He took the time to take extra photos and stuff like that with me. You didn't have to do any of that. He showed respect to soldiers that were there that day, major respect to soldiers that were there that day. He was great with the kids. He was Hulk Hogan, and they always say, be careful when you meet your heroes. Not in this case.
Well, I will say this. When we saw Hogan,
yeah,
my biggest fear was he was going to be a dick, right? So Here I am, a Hulkamaniac, growing up on this man my entire life. And here's this opportunity to meet him. Spent a lot of money to go meet him too, by the way. Okay. And it was well worth it. That gentleman, there's two guys I've met outside of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Von Erich and Hulk Hogan, and both of them did not disappoint me. Did not disappoint me whatsoever. As far as the show goes, I would say 98% of the people, whether on the internet or in person, have been nothing but gentlemen, cool stuff. I don't know if maybe people like us because we're older. I'm not sure. But whatever happens, it ends up working out. But my point, Jimmy, your point on the Hulkster was nothing less than perfect.
Yeah, it was like to hammer it home. It was like when we had Backlund in, if you understand what I'm getting at. I mean, zero disappointment. Oh my God!
Again, I don't blame Bubba the Love Sponge for reporting this, okay? But I do feel his journalistic morality is not there, nor is his co-host, because again, there's plausible deniability. Like Vince McMahon is guilty, but he could be guilty, but maybe he's not. I'm not sure.
It's dancing in the shadows.
They're dancing in the shadows, which is just utterly ridiculous. And again, Missy, if you are watching, which I know you are, I didn't take it like Pharaoh did, but after Pharaoh explained that to me, kudos to you, young lady, because you are nothing but a class act, as you've always been. All right, Jimmy, and to be fair again to Bubba, the one thing that is the problem is Hulk Hogan has not made an appearance in quite a while. Again,
can I let me get this in too? And I don't know if people think about stuff like this. Listen, Hogan has had the pedal to the metal ever since he got into this business, and even more so once he super rocketed to stardom. All right, there has to come a point in your life where, even if it's for a few months, maybe he just wants to chill out.
Could be.
It could be, and then we get this. Oh well, he hasn't been seen for a while. What business is it of ours? Are we that Snoopy?
The ridiculous thing I hear, Jimmy, is this.
Leave the man alone.
The most ridiculous thing that I hear is this, right? Okay, so first of all, everybody understands for a male in the United States, the average lifespan is 74 years old. That doesn't mean you won't live to 90. It doesn't mean you won't live past 30. I have no idea. But anyway, the average lifespan is 74. It may have changed, but we're going to call it 74, okay?
Yeah.
When people go, well, he did all those steroids. Dude, the dude's 74.
Right. He's
What
done
the
fantastic. He's done
Or
fantastic.
72, whatever.
He's
Like,
done
again,
fantastic to get this far. Same thing with Vince. I mean, the fact that Vince is now hitting 80 and stuff. I mean, it's like, wow.
Is
Amazing.
anyone surprised that Ric Flair is shitting in a restaurant?
No.
The problem is Ric Flair is a dick because it's like, put some diapers on, bro. No one wants to clean up your shit.
It's also the difference in personalities. While Hogan and Flair are both huge personalities, Ric Flair lives the damn gimmick. He's still going to bars and stuff and doing stupid shit. Hogan doesn't do that.
All right, I'm going to play this last video, which is 4 minutes. I need you to weigh in, okay?
All right.
Is Brutus the Barber Beefcake's wife, Missy.
Do you ever meet her?
Met her one time.
Oh. How'd that go?
I met her. It didn't go any way or the other than I liked Brutus's first wife, Barbie, far better. Barbie seemed to be less of a ring rat than this chick. This chick is, in my opinion, from the small interaction that I've had with her and some of the larger interaction of watching her postings on Facebook. And then, we actually played a video of her yesterday. Maybe you could find that for me again.
Yes.
And it seems like she is a ring, in my opinion.
Like that's a groupie?
Yes. Yes.
I feel like if you're with Brutus the Barber Beefcake at this point in life, you got to really love him.
Well, I don't know. So anyway, I've known Ed Leslie, which is Brutus the Barber Beefcake, way longer than her. And I don't know what your end game was, because when my very first Hogan, 2 weeks ago, my very first Hogan announcement as to, hey, something ain't going on right here, man. This guy has been MIA for 2.5 weeks. I've gotten some inside sources that saying he's hospitalized and that this is not a neck and back complication. This is a heart. At that time, was more of a heart issue that's turned into a pulmonary issue. That is turned into a complication issue. And she first, on my very first posting, as to kind of laying out, I think Hogan's in trouble. There's been family members that have been asked to come say their goodbyes to him. And I think I may have even said, in my opinion, he could be potentially, not with us much longer.
Yes.
I still stand by that because you know what, Jay? They haven't corrected even that, other than they came out and said it's not a heart issue, it's a neck and back deal. And then that was quickly refuted by Us Magazine that said, they had actually talked to or some experts or people, I don't know, they somehow got a hold of somebody that was in the know and validated that it was not a neck and back issue, that indeed it was more like a lung pulmonary / heart issue.
I sent you Miss Beefcake.
So
let me show 3 iPhone.
When I first came out with this, which was, was it now 2 weeks ago? It was a Wednesday, wasn't it? Was it a Wednesday?
Yes, it was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday. It was the 18th, yes.
So I think it was 2 weeks ago tomorrow.
Yes.
That I first came out with this, and boy, we got like 1 million hits, and it went viral, and the whole 9 yards, because I'm literally the only person that is being truthful as to what's happening to Hogan. It would be so easy for Hogan's people, whether it be Nick, whether it be Sky, his wife, whether it be Eric Bischoff, whether it be Nick's wife, Tanya, who's got an OnlyFans account, by the way.
Oh, my.
It be somebody that's boots on the ground in the hospital, taking a video of Hogan in the condition that he is right now, Tuesday, July 1.
Do you think that they're hoping that the outside noise fizzles out? And so,
all right, can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
Who's the clown that goes, oh my? It's like, she's got an OnlyFans. Oh my. It's like, listen, any woman that doesn't get an OnlyFans is an idiot, dude. It's like you can make so much money on OnlyFans. It's like whoop-de-doo. And I'll say this too. Quite honestly, Hogan could be not doing well, okay? Or he's recovering from open heart surgery or whatever. The fact of the matter is they're not going public because they don't want any more food for fodder, right? He's got lots of businesses that are sponsoring his stuff, and he's involved in a lot of business deals. I don't know what kind of investors they get, but if they find out that the owner of the company is not doing well, that could affect business. And you know what? Even if a doctor comes out, we'll use the Von Erichs, and it's all yours after this, Jimmy. When Mike Von Erich had that infection and his fever went up to 107 and doctors came out and we said, we expect a full recovery. People don't believe it. And if you have your money invested in something and someone is ill, you might pull out. So there's a lot of things going on. And what? To respond to Bubba the Love Sponge?
Exactly.
Please. And let me just say this real quick. You want to make fun of Missy, but first of all, I don't think you're a ring rat if you're with someone like for 10 or 12 years, okay? But let's be honest here, Bubba, okay? That little piece of ass that's sitting on your right would have nothing to do with you if you just weren't a lucky fat fuck who ended up becoming popular. You're a fucking Howard Stern knockoff, and then you tried to lick Howard Stern's balls for 2 years, and he went nowhere with it as you got fired from every radio station. Then Hulk Hogan gives you a run in Orlando. You work out some deal with him, and then you fuck him over too. Bro, legitimately, you might know something, and Hulk could be sick, but here's a fact. You are a piece of shit, and that is a fact. You're a low-life piece of trash. Jimmy.
Yeah, there's nothing legitimate about him, which is why, it's kind of funny how at the end you basically sum up how I feel about it. Comparing her to a ring rat, as you said, is ridiculous. She's been with him for a very, very long time. I also love Sidekick Sam over there. Well, if you're with Brutus, I guess you just feel sorry for him. Why? You would probably kill for his leftovers in his life. Are you kidding me? Who is Sidekick Sam? He's a clown. And then you've got the ring rat comparison. Now, this is for the ones who were truly the ring rats back in the day. Props to you. You guys are royalty compared to real rats. And the real rat is Bubba the Sponge, because the sponge is the perfect word right there, because sponges just absorb other people's stuff. And that's exactly what he's a professional bullshit artist. I mean, look at him. Oh, my God. I'm getting the runs just looking at him. You've got to be kidding me here. He's always managed to somehow fool some very talented, famous people and get himself over. But at the end of the day, was it really worth it? I have looked at you like you are a complete piece of shit for almost 2 decades now. And you always will be a complete piece of shit. You don't have reliable sources. There's nothing reliable about you. I don't care about your inside sources or your allegations. You know what? And he's not going to feed into you by responding. You really think anybody in the family, he's mentioning his son, he's mentioning all these people that are inside, they're going to talk to you? Like you said, they're not going to fucking talk to you. They don't have anything to say to you. Because after all, Herod got blown off by the prophet from Nazareth. You know why? Because Herod was a big bag of wind. That's why. You don't answer to a big bag of wind. I hope Hogan's just chilling out right now. I hope we see him soon. But you're right, on a business level, it's probably the smart thing, too, to lay low. And you don't fucking respond to this shit. It's coming from shit.
And here's really the facts of it, everybody out there. And I'm going to read some chats before we move on. Hulk Hogan is going to die one day, and one day it'll be a very sad day for all wrestling fans. Whether you like his political agendas, whether you don't forgive him for his mistake, his racial mistake, okay? I'm going to say this too. Again, I'm not a black person, so it's hard for me to understand as maybe a person of color would feel. But I will say this. When I hear people forgiving Chris Benoit and still giving Hulk Hogan an issue,
yeah, it's a little warped.
I kind of get like, what's going on here, guys?
It's a little warped, but that's
and again, every podcast, every, TNA, NWA, WWE, WSI, Lee Cole Show, click this, Monte and the Pharaoh. If it's not for Hulk Hogan, none of this is here.
Nope.
That is a fact. Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan made wrestling. So if you want to hate, listen, Hulk Hogan one day is going to die. And you'll be around to see it. And then you're going to regret it. That's all.
That is all.
All right, I'm going to click some stuff. This B40 out there. I got to ask B40 a question, by the way.
B40?
I need him to answer. These smarks worship HBK, totally ignoring he would drug girls and drink. You know, that's exactly right. B40, there was something you said a couple of weeks ago, and I've been trying to reach out to you. So, Jimmy, I was saying that when I use AI and I look up Monte the Pharaoh and I do what's the best Monte the Pharaoh? Like, what's the top 5 Virgil interviews in wrestling history, right? And AI pulls them, and Monte the Pharaoh come up at least on the top 5, if not number 1 most of the time. But B40 said a comment, and I want to understand. Maybe I don't understand something. B40, were you saying because I'm looking it up and they know I'm involved with Monte the Pharaoh, so it's making sure it's on there? Please give me your honest opinion on that, man, because I want to understand. Jimmy, I'm going to get out of gimmick because I want to read these comments, if you don't mind. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
You do yell at me sometimes.
Put him back on.
You're out of gimmick. Dan Lutzka. We can like Hulk, but we don't have to agree with Terry. That's a great comment. Okay, that there's nothing wrong with that comment, Dan. And again,
that's actually a great comment. Go on.
It is. Phil says, Monte the Pharaoh, for those of us lucky enough and old enough to see Hulkster live in the 80s, we felt the power of the Hogan pop. Amen, brother.
Oh, my God.
Amen.
There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Jason, almost every lame wrestling YouTube channel is parroting Bubba Sponge like it's gospel.
Of course. That's the world we live in now. It's sad, isn't it, brother?
Brother. Yeah.
Brother.
Got this one. Bubba is like Man-Cow Muller. Remember Man-Cow? Just a shithead. Yeah. Dude, I forgot about Man-Cow.
So did I.
Holy
What is that?
fuck.
What does that say? And you know what? 15 years from now, listen, I don't think about Bubba the Love Sponge at all until this suddenly pops up. Okay.
His band's back, by the way. Thanks for the greetings, guys.
What's up? I don't think about that guy at all.
ESO with the wrench. Hey, RJ, Maria, Jason. Come on, ESO. Can you give me something better than that, please? What the fuck?
What happened?
He's like just saying hello to people. I mean, come on. Help me
out.
Hulk, I still met him back in WCW. Nice guy, was great. Terry, on the other hand, was not too sure. I don't know what that means. But does that mean that like when he's Hulk Hogan, he's a nice guy, and then he turns into Terry?
I guess we lucked out when we met him because when we met him, he was
B40, answer the question, bro. My God, I just asked you a question you're not answering. All right, going back into gimmick, guys. So that's our take. So, Jimmy, you want to finally recap on your feelings, and then we'll move on to our final subject of the night.
Look, I've basically he's just a hack. I just see him as the Sponge in his name is perfect, and he's a scrub, and he's living off Hogan, and he's still living off Hogan. I'm actually embarrassed we got to talk about him. How's that for wrapping it up?
Wow, that is pretty good, Jimmy. That is pretty good. All right. Moving on. Okay. We're coming towards the final 6 months of John Cena in pro wrestling. So real quick, before I get into this, and this will be the final part of the show, is AEW picking up momentum in your mind, Jimmy Farrell?
AEW?
Yes.
No. What sort of momentum?
Are you being fair? Have you been watching? Have you been listening?
I keep my tabs on it.
I'm going to take you to the woodshed, son.
Okay. Why, they've taken over?
No, they haven't taken over, but
okay.
I'm asking you, is WWE slipping? Is what
let me know when it's serious. No, I don't think. I think that the machine rolls on. That's what I think.
Well, does the machine roll on with these two guys, Roman and Seth? Is this your next WrestleMania?
I'm very curious. I don't know how to answer that because I don't know where Roman's at. I don't know what the relationship is right now. I'm sure it's great. with him and WWE, but I don't know how much more he's going to. Look, he just finished a 4-year program, and he's been battling that leukemia stuff. We all seem to forget that. It's still in there somewhere, God forbid. I mean, maybe he's finally winding it down, and now he's just going to make special appearances. We don't have the answer to that. God, I hope it's not that. I hope he gives us at least another 2 years or so of, what he's been. I still want more, but we don't know. We're going to find out.
Well, with that, Jimmy, I want to remind everybody you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh. You can see us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, on all audio networks where our distributor Believe will distributes our stuff. And
I thought Conan said we were going to be off that thing. What happened?
Yeah, what's up, Conan?
Yeah,
what's up, Conan?
Oil of Olay. Yeah.
Because Conan's a clown, buddy. He's a clown. He's a clown. I want to remind everybody we've got the Eddie Mansfield show will be on the network, working through some things. We did our first shoot, and production level wasn't towards Pharaoh's agreeing level, so
my agreeing level.
The channel. We've had me pull it off the channel.
You're so full of. This is just. You need medication, man. You need medication.
I want to remind everyone we got a sex therapist on the channel. We got When It Was Real. We got the baseball bums. By the way, Jimmy took me to task. I changed the name of the baseball bums because I was hoping to catch a better algorithm. And Jimmy yelled at me, and so I'll have to return it back to the baseball bums. I was only trying to help. That's all I was trying to do.
Are you the kid that sets off the fire alarm in school and then was like, I was only trying to help?
A little bit. A little bit.
Again,
I want to ask everybody again to please support our new sponsor, 500 Level.
Please.
They've got tons of sports stuff. Go to 500level.com. Use the Monte and the Pharaoh code MP20 for 20% off. And right now for July 4th, everybody, you get 10%. Please go to the site 500 Level. And look, if you're a drinker, go to Good Fucking Wines, order some wine. If you like hot sauce, we've got John Cena hot sauce, under the table hot sauce. If you want to get your dog something for 4th of July, partypup.com. The sponsors have been killing me, Jimmy. They're saying I'm not doing enough work, so I'm trying to get all these pops in, so I do apologize.
Yeah, well, that's
you have to go to partypup.com, and then also Nitro's Garage. Where if you
what about that sports coach left from Comac? Fuck him.
Get the and let's not forget who's our favorite security firm, Jimmy.
What? Sonny's.
APB Security, the great Sunny Beach, former UWF champion, worked in the WWE as Sandy Beach, I believe, right?
Yeah, and a friend of the deer community.
He loves deer, dude.
Dude, I love those videos, man. It's like Mutual of Omaha with Sunny Beach.
Up and coming to this channel will be Coco Beware returning.
What?
Yes.
What?
You love a little Coco, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Dr. Tom Pritchard will be joining us.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. All right.
I want people to please weigh in. Would you want Evil East on the show? What do you think of Evil East?
Oh,
Jimmy?
my God. Are you kidding me? I love Evil East.
That's right. You want to go?
I don't like Evil East. I love Evil East.
All right. It's either Marty Bell or Evil East. Make your decision.
Marty Bell from TNA or Evil East? I want Evil East.
You're going Evil East. All right. Evil East it is. You're one half of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, so expect Evil East on the show. And again, we've got a lot of stuff. When It Was Real with Nikita Brezhnikov and Benny the Player Scala. They've got quite the following going on. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this wonderful Thursday. I want to thank the great Missy Beefcake for putting her differences on the side and standing up for Hulk Hogan. Yeah. I want to thank Hulk Hogan for everything you've done. And if this is your last tour with us, great Hulkster, you've done well, sir. You've influenced many lives, and God is with you. And to Bubba the Love Sponge, with all due respect, you may know something, but the way you're going about it is just totally wrong. Jimmy, you can say your final things and let's head on out.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh talking about that maggot. And until next week, later, brother.